Tearing down a corrupt empire is surprisingly easy. Surviving the creation of a new one is almost impossible. By the late 14th century, a handful of wealthy aristocrats in the 500-year-old Goryeo dynasty controlled nearly all the arable land. They paid no taxes and answered to no authority, leaving the state treasury empty and the government paralyzed. The system left no room for survival for the common people. Farmers were forced to sell their own children just to pay debts on land they didn't even own. At the highest levels of government, the lack of leadership created a vacuum that invited foreign invasion and internal collapse. But fighting a failing regime is never enough. To achieve a lasting revolution, you need a precise vision of what replaces it. To bridge the gaps of this broken society, an unlikely alliance formed. History and legend remember them as the Six Dragons. This diagram represents how the group came together. They were a cross-section of society, a renowned military general, a brilliant exiled scholar, a fiercely ambitious aristocrat, and 3 commoners who represented the public. Bound together by shared purpose, these 6 figures successfully orchestrated the downfall of the old aristocratic world. But as the dust settled from their victory, a problem emerged. They knew exactly what they wanted to destroy, but they had never reached a consensus on what they were building in its place. With the old regime gone, the dragons officially established the Joseon dynasty, ruling from new centers of power like the one shown here. The architect of this new world was Jung Do-jun, a scholar who had spent years in exile refining a design for a perfect government. This flowchart outlines Jung Do-jun's system, a nation ruled by a prime minister and scholars. Power flows directly from the people to the administration, bypassing the king. This framework of checks and balances ensured that even under a cruel king, the state functioned. While this design was intellectually sound, it created an immediate friction with the warriors and princes who had fought on the front lines to win the throne. Yi Bangwan was the general's son and the most ambitious prince of the new dynasty. He was the one who had done the darkest, bloodiest work to ensure the revolution ultimately succeeded. When Bangwan saw the new political system, he realized it left him with no path to the authority he believed he had earned. His mentor's vision for a scholar-led state effectively ended his own political future. Bangwan held a different view. He believed a new nation, surrounded by enemies and internal instability, required a single, strong monarch. To him, the scholars' debates were a recipe for a slow collapse. The alliance unraveled as former allies began to watch each other with suspicion. The deep friendship that built a country began to turn into a calculation of who would strike first. This fracture left the common people in a dangerous position. They had fought for a peaceful life, but they were now caught in the middle of a war over how that peace should be managed. This tension broke in 1398, during an event known as the First Strife of Princes. Yi Bangwan moved his private army into the capital, launching a military coup to seize control of the palace and the government. To secure the crown, Bangwan ordered the assassination of his own mentor, Jung Do-jun, and the execution of the friends who had stood by him during the revolution. The same drive necessary to tear down the Goryeo dynasty had now turned inward, destroying the very people who had shared the dream of a better world. This traditional portrait shows the result. Bangwan became King Taejong. He held total power but ruled in isolation, removing everyone who could challenge his authority. Despite the violence of his rise, King Taejong's reign was highly effective. By eliminating all of his political rivals, he created a period of stability that the previous dynasty hadn't seen in centuries. That stability became the foundation for a golden age. It directly led to the cultural achievements of his son, King Sejong the Great, seen here. This era produced Hangul, the Korean alphabet shown in this text. It was a tool created specifically to empower the common people, fulfilling the original goal of the revolution through the stability provided by a king who had used any means necessary to secure it. History shows that the ambition needed to break a corrupt world is rarely the same virtue needed to govern a peaceful one. If you enjoyed this look at the rise of the Joseon dynasty, please subscribe to the channel and join us for our next story.